Welcome to the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Eileen Woodard.
Today, I'm talking to L.A. Williams, Vice President of Dealer Synergy, Blind Master, L.A. Dub, a man with no sight and all the vision you need. He has worked with Dr. Dre on his beats. He's also worked with Lil Wayne and Karina Bradley. You're going to say, how does he do that? Well, we're going to find out today. Currently, he has been 10 years in the automotive business. You know, in automotive business, that's how I met L.A. Williams, the Blind Master. Mm-hmm. Did I call you I didn't call you L.A. Reid, did I?
No, but a lot of people do, so it's all
okay. Good. I was gonna say, I know I didn't mess that up.
Name in a heartbeat.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
You know what? I appreciate you. You actually, you were in my top 5 to interview because I remember when I first encountered your voice on Clubhouse. You have that soothing voice. Can you just give me an introduction real quick?
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate it. So just kind of, you want me to like tell the people about myself? That's kind of what
okay, I'm sorry. Okay, give me a little bit of an introductory. When we're on Clubhouse and you open up the Million Car Salesman room, just give me a little bit of introductory to that. I want to be excited, and I need to get excited like we did at 7 o'clock in the morning, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 5 days a week.
Got you. So we would do the room. I forget, what was it called? The Millionaire. It was just morning motivation with a real multi-millionaire. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? This is L.A. Williams, the Blind Master, and I am here with the one and only Regina Woodard, and we are on the No Limiter Podcast. So listen, I hope y'all ready to remove the limits because they getting out of here. Peace, limits.
I'm going to make sure I record that because every time I get excited about the show, I'm just going to play that in my head and and listen to it. When I first did my research on you, I was reading that you was working with Dr. Dre. What was it like working with Dr. Dre?
It's a real cool thing. He and I worked together. It was kind of like a third party thing because I got introduced through Ab Lava. So, I mean, obviously he had always been influential in all of my music and things like that. But Ab Lava, he's a part of Major Figures, a group out of Philly. He writes for a lot of different people, and he's a part of Dre's writing team, and he had all these different tracks that he just kind of like carry around, I guess, on CD. And he gave me a CD of some tracks, and it was just a beat and some strings. And then I went there and I just kind of played some piano parts on top of it and kind of added some stuff. Like I guess technically I wasn't supposed to do it because nobody asked me to do it. And then I played it for him and he was like, yo, this is amazing. Yo, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna send this to Dre. And he sent it to Dre and Dre liked it. And they called me. It was like, yo, this is cool. Can you play some piano on some more stuff? So I was like, sure. And that's basically how the relationship ended up happening. And still, even to this day, every once in a while, Lava will reach out to me or, he'll have one of his producers reach out to me like, we need some dub keys on something. So, it's a lot of fun, Dre is an interesting person to work with because, when you're playing around, you're making music and stuff like that, you think he's not paying attention, but he might just be, talking or something like that. And then be like, hold on, wait, play that again. And then you'll play the little passage again and he'll just go to the MP and just start putting some music around. The MP is it's the music production software. It's not software, hardware. It's called the MPC, old school, real old school. But he'll just, put some drums to it and then take it. And the next thing you know, he got $1 million beat. It's crazy. So, but Dre is awesome.
So in my research I was doing, you had said Dr. Dre had a person do something 75 times. Mm-hmm. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was I wasn't, I don't even think that wasn't, he probably did it with me around too, but it's just become so normal and natural that's how it works in the studio, right? If people think that, oh, you just say the line and great, great, great. No, like you going to do the same line. If we don't like as a producer, if it's not coming across the way that I know the audience needs to hear it, then I'm going to have you do the line again and again and again and again. And so at first, I remember as a young producer, people would kind of get frustrated with me, like, you do it then, or, I'll just say something crazy like that. But I always wanted people to do stuff over and over and over again. But when I saw that Dre did the same exact thing, it kind of made me feel better. Like, oh, so I'm not crazy, right? You know what I'm saying? You think you a weirdo. I think I'm just some, mean producer making people do stuff over and over and over again. But no, that's how it really works in the music industry. So again, people don't realize it could take you 4 hours to create 30 seconds of music, especially if you're doing R&B where you laying over the harmonies and all kind of stuff like that. Literally, it take you hours and hours and hours just to get 30 seconds of music. So absolutely.
Coming to the future now, because that was in the past.
Okay.
You're currently vice president of Dealer Synergy, and you've been doing that for 10 years. Yeah. How do you, when I hear your voice and someone hears you talk, they don't realize that you're doing everything with your voice and everything with your hearing. What exactly why do they call you the blind master?
Oh, that's a good question. So first of all, I was not the vice president all 10 years, trust and believe, right?
You had to work your way up, right?
Exactly.
Especially with Sean Bradley. Especially with Sean Bradley, because he doesn't play.
Started from the, it was so crazy because when I first started with the company, he was like, oh, I want you to come be a trainer. I want you to come be a trainer. And then when I interviewed, he was like, oh yeah, so we're going to start him off as an analyst. And I was like pissed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an analyst and everything, but I'm just like, I am, right? So I thought I was the man. But it was such a good thing that I did start off as an analyst because I learned so much about the business and the industry. But what happened was, because I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna learn. Like you gonna know who I am. I used to sneak to car dealerships with their real trainers. And I would like watch them doing their thing. And then I would make phone calls while they had the people in the training classes, because I just felt like, if I'm going to be coaching other people on how to do stuff, there was this one girl that was doing, telling people what they supposed to say. And I'm like, can you say it? Right. And that always bothered me. So I wanted to be the kind of person that actually had the experience. So anyway, grew up, in the business and learning about phones. And initially I was the blind phone master, right? Because I mastered the phones, and anything that had to deal with phone sales, that was my forte. But then as I grew into, becoming the vice president of training, the director of training, all that good stuff, and then all of a sudden we just dropped the training, it was just the vice president of the company, there was so much more about leadership and, coaching and management and things like that I, began to learn, right? I just always developed myself. And so becoming the vice president of the company was kind of like the next move, just because it was the thing. So instead of just being a phone master, now I'm literally the blind master. I really do make it my mission to master any and everything that I put my hands on. And so, it's just one of them names that kind of stuck, right? You start off as one thing and then you drop the one word, and, now I'm just the blind master. Master stuff. That's what I do.
Let's walk through for people. The name of my podcast is No Limiter podcast, right? No Limiter. So we focus on business owners, creators, entrepreneurs, and you are a creator. And the reason I say you're creative because you have mastered everything you do. When you're in the music business, you mastered that, and now you in the car business. Let's walk through.
In the financial business too, just by the way.
Oh yeah, okay. So you have so many hats, right?
Got to.
So
multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams of income, yes. So walk me through what you do. Because people that's watching or people that's listening to the podcast, they don't know exactly what you do. I do, but explain what you do.
Okay, so let's I'm gonna have to kind of answer your question.
Let's do an example.
An example of kind of like my daily, or are you looking for?
Okay, when I think about, I've watched your videos and I saw you making phone calls.
Okay.
And walk me through calling a customer on the phone trying to get them in a dealership?
Okay, got it. Great question. So, because that's like the whole bunch of there's a lot of different questions in that. So here's the deal. When you talk about reaching out to customers, there are some key things that you have to have. And I'm going to start the first thing off with confidence, right? You have to have a certain confidence to you because people are looking for leadership. They don't want somebody that's, Millie Mouth calling them and I'm kind of wondering if they, no, you got to have the literal confidence. And so you got to have that down pack, I would say. In addition to that, you have to have a game plan, right? So many people don't have a game plan. Matter of fact, a lot of times when they call somebody, they hoping they don't even answer the phone. You know what I'm saying? So what we got to do is folks got to have a game plan. So what should that game plan be? Okay, the first thing, of course, you have to have a high quality greeting. And so I'm going to say, hello, may I speak with Regina, please?
Yes, this is Regina.
Hi, Regina. This is L.A. Williams giving you a call from ABC Motors and Cars.com. Did I catch you at a good time, right? So I'm just asking permission to speak. I'm just, kind of getting your permission. And you can ask it in whichever way you want. The challenge is most people don't know to ask permission to speak. So they just say something simple as how you doing, right? Which is not really the best thing to say. Not the worst thing to say, but it's also a question that you don't know the answer to, right? And great salespeople ask questions that they already know the answer to. I already know the answer to did I catch you at a good time. You're either going to say yes or you're going to say no, right? And then there's a bunch of trainers that say you should say did I catch you at a bad time. So that it's like a no-oriented question. I see the value in that. But for me, listen, I understand the laws of attraction and manifestation and how to make things happen with your mind and life and death being in the power of the tongue. So I'm going to say the positive. I'm going to speak into existence what I want, which is a good time. Does that make sense?
Totally
All right, cool,
makes
cool.
sense.
So after I hit him with that, then I'm gonna state the purpose of my call. So the reason for my phone call, and I may or may not say that, I'm calling in response to your internet purchase request for a 2020 Subaru Forester. Is that correct? Whatever the case may be, I'm just picking a vehicle. And they'll say yes. Okay, well now I need to pace the conversation. I need to just get the person used to the sound of my voice. Get them used to saying yes to me. We'll have a little bit of a conversation. So I don't even care if it's one of these newer vehicles that's not available yet. That's not the point. I'm just going to make some basic conversation. All right, well, it says here that you're looking for one that has this. Is that right? Yeah, okay, well, awesome. All right, tell me a little bit about that, right? So we're just going to bounce back and forth, get that volley conversation back and forth, playing tennis a little bit, right? We're just getting to know one another audible-wise. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
All right, cool. Then I'm going to get to, kind of the purpose, and I'm going to get to a qualifying question, right? So we'll be talking, and they might even ask me some questions or something, and I might ask them something simple like, let me ask you something. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? Right? Again, a question I already know the answer to, yes or no. Most people, even in 2022, have not purchased on the internet before. We know everybody goes to the internet before they do that, but purchasing vehicles, most people are like, nah, never done that before. Okay, well then whenever someone does this, I actually just said this on my podcast earlier today, right? I was recording one, and I said, whenever someone's doing something or not doing something, I want to know why. I want to understand what's the reason for them doing what they're doing, right? And so if they said they never purchased a vehicle online before, well, I want to know, well, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? Again, a question I already know the answer to. We already know that customers are going online for one of 7, 8, 9 different reasons. And I'll give it to you in the form of practice. If you're writing this down, write the word practice down. So you got the P over the R over the A over the C over the T, write it vertically like that, right? So I understand.
Got it.
Yeah. So people are going online because they're looking for the best price. They're researching. They're looking for the availability of a certain vehicle. They're looking for the convenience of the whole online process, right? Shopping online and all that good stuff. They're looking to see how much they're going to get for their trade. The I stands for I hate car salesmen, which most people don't tell you that. They just give you an attitude and you can't quite figure out why, right? So that's one reason. The C is because their credit. The second C is, their credit may not be, it might be a challenge or they're really sure. The E is the overall experience. And then I'll give you a bonus. Practices. S stands for safety, right? We're all kind of coming out of this whole COVID thing. There are still people. My wife and I got on the elevator yesterday. She had a mask on. Now we're fully vaccinated and all that good stuff, but she's like, hey, we can let's be safe around here. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure we cover it up.
Right.
So So because I know the answer that they're going to give me, I can be prepared with a response. I already know what to say. And so many people they're not prepared. They act like they don't know what the customer is going to say. And if you didn't know, again, that's why it's a requirement. You gotta master the game. You gotta know what the customer is going to say before they say it. And that's what I mean by when I say I have a game plan. And then we can talk about, value package closing and all
So
that.
let me get in there a little bit, because you just rolling. Do you think the future is just online purchasing? You're gonna have to call the customer or communicate with them online, and they don't come in the store. You just deliver the car to them.
The funny thing is that's not the future, it's the now, right? That's what's happening right now.
Okay, yes, right. Okay.
So the truth of the matter is, listen, you gotta allow people to decide initially right now how they want to purchase a vehicle. So, as of right now, there are, look, we got Amazon, right? We don't hardly ever go to the grocery store. If we go to the grocery store, it's because we just need to pick up something real quick or whatever the case may be. But for most part, we on Amazon fresh like a mug. You know what I'm saying? Like trips to the grocery store are a thing of the past, filling up the cart and all that. Man, anybody got time for that, right? Let me just have somebody bring it to me. It's the same situation in the automotive business. However, there are some things like when we bought our sofa, we went to the actual quote unquote showroom, right? Tried out a couple different sofas and everything like that. And then the funny thing is when we purchased it, it wasn't like we was able to just, walk off the lot with the sofa, right? We had to pay full price, not just put down a deposit. We had to pay full price for it, and then still had to wait 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know. It was a long time. It felt like a long time. Probably was about 6 months or so. I think we ordered it in May. We got it in November. So that's, about 6 months. And so people are funny right now because they're like, oh, people got to wait 3 more and 4 months for a vehicle. So what? That's how business is operating, not only right now, but it's other industries have been dealing with it for the longest period of time. We're just now catching up. So that's what I got to say about that.
What you said, now we just catching up?
We're just catching up, yeah. Just dealing with some of the challenges that other industries have been dealing with for a long time. You got to order stuff, right? It's part of the game.
Do you think the challenges that we're having today are going to get better? Because I remember the times I've been in the business for 24 years, and things have changed so much. When I say things have changed so much, we would always say the customers are right? We would always say that. But under our breath in the back room, we're like, no, the customer's not right. How things now is we cater more to our customers. And why do you think we cater? I mean, I know I got my reason why we cater more to the customers now than what we used to, but why do you think we cater now to the customers more than what we did 10 years ago?
Well, the truth of the matter is because it's something that we should have always been doing. Listen, buying a car.
Correct.
Look, buying a car is not one of those things where it's just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, man, it's a high ticket purchase. It's the second largest purchase most people ever make, right? Yes. And so we got to understand that you're in the business just like the home business, just like a real estate agent. You got to cater to your customers. Listen, you ain't buying a bag of chips. This ain't a TV purchase. You see what I'm saying? People spending thousands and thousands of dollars. If you got to finance it, oh my gosh, man, you better be quote unquote catering to your customers. You better be creating an atmosphere for someone that it got to be a premium feel to this thing, right? Because they're spending premium money. Now, why do we do it now when we weren't forced to do it before? Is because before they didn't have access to all the information that they have now. And so, because of the customers' access to information, we've been forced to cater to our customers. It's sad, really, when you think about it, because there are some dealerships and some car salespeople who always cater to their customers, and that's the reason why they're selling 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 cars a month now. They're outselling some dealerships because they're not just treating it as a transaction, right? It's relationship selling. There's so much more to it than just the basic sign here. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's the reason why it's happening.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, because we met on audio, and then I met you in January at Dealer Synergy Conference. So today's
Internet
world,
Sales 20 Group, yep,
right?
awesome.
Internet sales, yes. So today, what I learned, even though what I learned more last year or the last couple of years since COVID, it's more about relationship building on social media. Social media. Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram. And, when back in the day, 24 years ago, it was about, it's about relationships, but now it's about taking those relationships where you don't meet the person, but you introduce to that person through someone or through an app or a different situation. Right now, I'm getting used to that. But when I met you, it seemed like you had it all planned out. It seemed like everything that you do, you have a plan for it. When it comes to your financial piece, when it comes to dealer synergy, the blind master, it come to LA. How do you put that game plan together? Because it doesn't look easy.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'll say this. It's not necessarily easy, but it is simple, right? See, a lot of people don't understand, like, really the difference. If you think about it, let's just say a waitress or something, a server, right? He or she, they'll, kind of go to the table. The job is really simple. It's just not easy, right? And so all you're doing is asking somebody what they want to eat and then bringing it to them, right? But because you're dealing with people, it's not necessarily so easy, right? So here's the deal. Social media is just another channel for us to do what we've already been doing as human beings, right? Here, the thing about it was, back in the day, you could be someone else outside than you were inside, right? You could be, L.A. Williams, Mr. Responsible outside in public, and then you could be, whatever you wanted to be behind closed doors, right? But now people are seeing, and even though it's still kind of that way on social media, again, what happens is people need to know more about you. So they get to see what your house looks like. Hopefully it don't look a mess, right? Or maybe it does.
Hopefully
right?
not.
Or maybe it does, and you're okay with sharing that with the people, right? Because there are other people want to know that you live your life kind of like they live their life, right? So again, it's just so much more access. If we give it to people, then they will begin to trust us, right? It's the same exact thing though, because, think about it years ago, like if you were, working with somebody, you kind of wanted to meet them at their office, or you wanted to kind of see them in their element. You might even take them out for drinks or something like that, because that way you can get to loosen them up a little bit. Maybe they'll, kind of let you know who they really are. Well, that same thing happens dealing with social media, right? You get to find out let me see your family. Let me see how you are with your kids. Let me see how you are with your wife. Let me see how you are when you're on vacation. Let me see how you are when you are sad. Let me see. And the more access you give a person, the more it builds up that trust. And so many people, like you said, they're not really ready to open themselves up to the world. But for me, look, it is what it is, baby. Like I'm gonna be me all day. How I do one thing is how I'm gonna do everything. So you can best believe you're getting the real me.
You know what? I love that you put it together like that, because, I just honestly, the last couple of years, really noticed that people are gonna look at, how you live, what you do. They're just not gonna look at like what you do as your career or your job, because when I did my research on you, I went to your Twitter, I went to your Instagram, I went to Against All Odds, the podcast. I listened to, and actually I met you on audio, and then I Googled you. So I started first, honestly, with the Google. And now that I'm doing podcasts, it's like I'm trying to get to know the person, but I'm researching more. Right. And I'm also finding out that people want to know exactly what you said, because I didn't realize that the game plan you just put together is what I honestly just realized the last couple of years. And with that is because I always thought people wanted to see just the side where you are at work, taking care of them, not knowing they really cared about the other parts of your life, to know that they could really relate to you personally.
Yep. Telling the truth.
Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right. We're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. Let's talk a little bit about financial. Okay. What do you do? I didn't really know about the financial hat. I heard you talk about it before, but what exactly do you do in the financial world?
So I carry licenses in the area of insurance and investments and all of that good stuff. I run a financial brokerage. And so that's just a matter of, making sure because man, I mean, I come from North Philly, right? People don't know. I come from North Philly. It's not the prettiest section of
People,
town.
you
You know
saying
what I'm
people don't know nothing about no money, or what are you saying? Because isn't Will Smith from Philly?
Yeah, he from West Philadelphia, but no, that's not kind of what I'm saying. Even if you talk about West Philly, people, it's not necessarily the prettiest section of town, is what I'm saying, right? And so we never really, people don't teach us. We're not learning about money and how it really works, right? We see that, folks on the corner doing their thing or whatever the case may be. We might get access to some, business stuff, but when it comes to, getting a job and all of that, but we don't really know about money and how it works. And so when I got access to that information, I just dove right into it because I always wanted to be wealthy, right? I remember my homie, we were in like 5th or 6th grade. He was like, man, I don't want to be like, I don't want to just be well off. I don't want to be just okay. I want to be filthy freaking rich. You know what I'm saying?
And you probably said, how are you going to get there?
I mean, well, that was the whole thought process was how are we going to do it? So he was talking about being a doctor, being a lawyer, because we didn't know, you know what I mean? We in 5th grade. And then, we realized I was talented with this music thing. And we said, hey, you know what? Why don't we do that, right? And so we were like, we're going to open up a label. See, the whole thing is we never had the mindset that we were just going to be the artist or whatever. We wanted to be the bosses, right? We wanted to be the top of the top, right? So when we were in, 11th and 12th grade and we're like telling these people that, we're getting a label and we're putting all this stuff together and we're signing the artists, the other 11th and 12th graders and stuff like that. And we're selling them beats and everything like that. I mean, we just had a different mindset. We wanted to come at it from the executive level. So I know we're talking about the finance here and not about the music, but I'm just saying that this is the mindset that I had was, oh my gosh, there so many people do not understand how money works. They don't understand insurances. They don't understand investments. They don't understand, just like I said, the employee versus employer. They don't understand the 4 ways to earn income. It's so many different things that I was getting access to.
Well, let's talk about that. The 4 ways to earn income. Let's get 4 ways.
Okay, right. So this is something, if you guys ever read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki wrote that book. He wrote another book called The Cash Flow Quadrant, where he talks about the 4 ways to earn income. And either you can do it as an employee, and we're all familiar with being the employee, right? You go to work, right? You give them some time, they give you some money, right? You give them some time, they give you some money, right? The challenge with it is that, it doesn't really matter how hard you work. You're still going to get the same paycheck as the person right next to you who barely works, right? So it don't really matter. Like the position is what gets paid, not the person, right? And so, okay, I mean, that's fine, but it is what it is. But some people want to step up because they do want to take control of their own finances. And so that's where you got people like car salesmen and stuff like that, because now it's like you are the job, right? So now you're not just the business, you're not just the employee, you're self-employed. So meaning whatever it is that you do, you get paid for it. So you do more, you get paid more. You do less, you get paid less. It is what it is. It's real simple, right? But it also can be very tiring, right? Because, again, when you work, you get paid. When you don't work, you don't get paid. It's like, goodness gracious, how do I get to a place where I can make money when it's not because of all of my effort? And so this is somebody, let's take like a barber, for example, right? A barber, he cuts hair, he got all these clients, he's awesome, he's an amazing barber, right? But then he like, you know what? I need to make some more money. So what he does is he opens up a barber shop where he hires, trains, and develops 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 other barbers that work in there with him. Now, even the days that he does not show up to the shop, he still collects booth rent. He still has clients going into his shop, getting their haircut, even though he's on vacation, even though he's sick, right? And so it's your hairstylist, same situation, right? And so now you become the business owner. Now, yes, it's more responsibility, but it's also more rewards. It's also more rewards. So that's the 3rd way, is to being a business owner. But then the 4th way is to become an investor. The investor is the person that says, oh, you want to open a barbershop, but you don't have enough money? Let me give you the money to open up your barbershop. And now, even though you're running the business and you're doing everything, I'm still going to get paid because it's my financial seed that gave you that blessing, right? And usually investors are involved in multiple different businesses, multiple different types of businesses. And even if you bought, stocks and stuff like that, even they get a dividend check. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's 4 ways to earn income: being an employee, becoming self-employed, being a business owner, or being the investor.
How do you just pull all that off your head just so quickly? I mean, how do you do what you do? I mean, because when we talked about doing the podcast, you said I'll be ready for whatever. So one of my last questions is obstacles. What obstacles have you faced? Because I heard your story in Clubhouse Room when you were when you could see at a young age, and then when you couldn't see. So what obstacles have you ran into your life? Because when I say obstacles, I don't see you with any, because when I look at you, when I think about you, I think about if I had a choice to be able to hear, talk, and not see, I'd be in a better position if I had a choice. Because if I could just see, if I could see and I couldn't hear or I couldn't talk, then I wouldn't be good with that. But what obstacles? And I know every time I say something, I try to give an example, because this interview just takes me to a whole nother level as I start my podcast career, because of being blessed to be able to sit down and talk to me on a Monday morning. But what obstacles have you faced?
And that is a broad question too, because I think that's life. Let's just call it that. Life is an obstacle that not only that I'm facing, but I think that everyone else is facing too. If you're alive, right? You're facing an obstacle. It is what it is, right? And so the exciting part about it is overcoming that obstacle. Again, I'm born, right? And they tried to rush me out the hospital, like, oh yeah, let's get him out of here. And then my dad was like, wait a minute. How come his eyes are blue, right? Now, I'm a person of, more melanin in my skin, so most of our eyes are not blue, right? And so my dad is like, why in the world is his eyes blue? They said, oh, we're going to check, right? Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we don't really know. We think it might be this. We think it might be that. So they're doing all these different surgeries on me. Turns out I had glaucoma. So, on my 3rd birthday, I had my 12th surgery and I lost my sight completely. Now, I don't say that to get any kind of pity or anything like that. It's a part of the game. They came up with a cure for it in '86. So now I'm a 3-year-old who used to have some sight. I didn't have 20/20 vision, but I did know my colors by the time I was 1 and stuff. So now it's a new obstacle. Oh, shoot, what am I going to, I can't see. My mom said I sat there, for probably like a week or so, just kind of, she said she thought I was depressed, but I remember just being like, I'm just trying to scope things out, right? I'm just trying to, let me see how the world is working, right? So people come in the house and, and then one time I think, my uncle came in or something, I just jumped up and ran to him. And, I'm just, because now I understand the obstacle. I understand like the dimensions of the house and everything like that. So what if I run into a wall? Ain't no big deal. It is what it is. It's a part of the game, I've realized, kind of growing up. So, all of the little challenges, all the other kids doing all the stuff that I wanted to do, everybody outside riding their bikes. Man, I wanted to ride my bike too. So what? I can't see. Right. And my dad, he was the kind of person that was like, because I guess I'm so blessed because my parents were young. My mom had me, she was 19. My dad was 20 or so. Right. And so they didn't know what, they just, your
dad did know, but your dad, he was young, but he did know is because he put the doctors in check.
Well, yeah, I would say so.
Because they're so quick. It's just like when you have knee surgery, you have any kind of surgery, it doesn't matter, it's your back, your knee, your toe, it doesn't matter. They actually, they get you out of there within 24 hours, the next day. And some of the surgeries are the same day.
Yeah.
And
so So what I mean that they didn't know is meaning they didn't necessarily know how to handle the situation, which was kind
Okay.
of cool because when you listen to, grandmas and stuff like that, they'll be saying, "Oh, that poor boy, oh, that boy, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that." And I'm none of that stuff that I like, right? I mean, little stuff like, putting the forks and spoons and stuff in the dish strainer, face down because, oh, he might hurt himself. Like, I'm like, no, that don't make no sense. I remember I was probably like 5 or 6. I said, that doesn't make any sense because that means if I'm looking for a fork or spoon, now I gotta like feel all over everything. Versus if it's facing up, as soon as I touch it, I know whether it's a fork or spoon. Little stuff like that. Again, that people that do have sight, if you think it too daggone much, why don't you ask the blind person what they think the best thing is? And I've always been the kind of person ever since I was 4 or 5 years old that could give perspective. Like, Mom, don't do it this way. Let's do it that way because that's easier and better for me. And like I said, thank God they would listen to me. So even with the whole riding the bike thing, my dad, I had a big wheel and stuff like that as a kid. But my dad was like, all right, if you get a good report card in kindergarten, I'll get you a bike, right? That's what you say to a blind kid. And I did. I got all A's except I got one B. Y'all want to guess what the B was in? Behavior.
He was in behavior.
The B was in behavior. Y'all know I don't know how to act. It's what it is. So I mean, but I always just been that kind of. But he got me the bike. It was other kids that was playing video games. One of the things I think is so cool about my step-pop, man, he did not ever hesitate to buy me video games and all that different kind of stuff like that. There's other kids outside playing video games. Guess what I want to do, y'all?
Play video games.
Absolutely. I want to play video games too, right? And so that's the thing that, a lot of times people never give a child that opportunity, right? They would just be like, "Oh, you can't do it, man. I can definitely do it."
But what? I've been waiting on that. I've been waiting on that the whole time. Why do you think that people or your family members just didn't figure that you didn't want to do that? It seems like you came up with a way to do something easier. Whatever you did, you made it easier than the next person.
And I don't think they thought I didn't want to do it. People just think you can't do stuff, right? They want to put limits on you, and they don't realize they're putting limits on you based off what they think you can and cannot do. And I've just never been that kind of person. I remember one time, how when you ask kids what they want to be when they grew up, and I probably was about 6 or 7, and I was like, "Mom, I want to drive a train." And she's like, "Well," because she never really told me I couldn't do stuff. She just was like, "Well, how are you going to drive a train? Don't you need?" I said, "Mom, a train is on a track. You don't need to be able to see to drive a train. You just press the button," right? So I didn't know no better.
You just press the button, right? You just steer it.
I ain't gotta steer nothing. It's just on the track. You know what I'm saying? So see, everything is so simple to me, but I do carry that mindset all throughout life. Like, I always think this stuff is gonna be quote unquote easier or simpler. And then when I run into the challenge, I just overcome the challenge, right? It doesn't really matter to me. All you gotta do is, that's the way I like living my life. All I gotta do is that, if I want to make $1 million, all I gotta do is make $100,000 10 times. All I gotta do is make $1,000. You said it's simple, right? I just think things are so simple. It may not be easy, but it is simple if we execute. The challenge that most people face, the number one obstacle, I know this conversation is about obstacles. Number one obstacle people face is their own in their mind not executing, right? Now listen, there ain't no such thing as $1 million idea. My man Billy is marketing, Billy Gina is marketing. He talks about there's no such thing as $1 million idea. There's only $1 million execution. So let's go out here and execute.
I love that you said that. Obstacles. Yes. Well, is there any last words that you want to share?
Here's one of the things that I hear a lot. People say that's easier said than done, right? And I just be like, why would you say that? Because everything in life is easier said than done, right? So there wasn't even no purpose in us fixing our mouths to say, well, that's easier said than done, LA, right? I already know that, right? Everything in life, I could say table, right? Easier say it than to build a daggone table, right? It is what it is. So let's just go out here and do what we got to do. I think that people don't understand the power of a decision, right? Just just making a decision, just, doing what you got to do to go out here and win in life. Now, here's the thing. I host every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I host the Law of Attraction Secrets Room with Natasha Graziano on Clubhouse, right? And so we talk a lot about, just manifesting the lives that we want. And then people be like, oh, that's woo-woo. One of the first rooms I had, I was like, what in the world is woo-woo? What's so woo-woo about it, right? What does that even mean, right? It's because most people just don't believe, right? What people don't, and my man Steve Harvey put it just so eloquently. He said, as soon as you have the desire for something, it's already yours. The challenge is, it's just like a package that's being sent to Faith Street. But the problem is, we don't stay on Faith Street. We go over to I Don't See How Boulevard. We go to It Take Too Long Avenue. You know what I'm saying? And we don't stay on Faith Street. If we would stay on Faith Street, now you don't know when it's going to come in, but you got to know that it's coming. And if you do some key things like, script, like write out what it is that you want. If you do some things like meditating and use vision boards, and I create something called Soundscapes that really allow a person to be in the environment they want to be in. I just did a beach scene for a young lady. She likes music and, reading books and stuff like that. So I put a lot of that stuff in the background for her. And, I just create this stuff to help us get closer to our goals and dreams. And, so we can be thankful for what it is that we have. So many people aren't thankful. So again, there's so much knowledge. I wish I could pack it all into this, the episode that we have. But I will tell you this, if folks want to learn more, if they want to, kind of be in my community, right? Just send me a text message. I don't mind putting out my number out there. It's 267-551-6279. Again, 267-551-6279. Now, I am the blind master, so the first message you're going to get is automated. I'm going to tell you, go ahead and put your number and stuff in my phone so I know who you are, right? And just let me know that you came from the No Limiter podcast with the awesome Regina Woodard. And I'm going to make sure that I really take care of you. If I ever have any kind of specials and stuff like that coming up, your people going to get access to it first. So.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking out time today and being a guest on my podcast.
Absolutely.
All right.
I appreciate you having me. I think that it's such an honor. I think so many times people don't realize the honor it is to have, to be on someone else's podcast, because that means that you trust the language that I'm going to, you trust your listeners, right? You trust me with your listenership. You ain't no daggum slouch. I know you talking about you in the beginning and everything like that, but you got a lot of people that's right now following you and that will be following you in the future. And for the simple fact that you're letting me speak to them, man, I'm telling you, it's such an honor and I appreciate it.
You know what? I appreciate you, and I learned so much from you, and got pointers on some questions you asked and some things that I need to take to another level and improve on. And, it's all about improvement. And thanks for being a part of my early journey doing podcasts. Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter Podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter Podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and the No Limiter Podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.